Now to San Francisco, where jury selection is underway in a trial brought by Tesla shareholders. They're suing Elon Musk for fraud. Their argument, a tweet Mr. Musk sent in 2018 cost them billions of dollars after the stock price plummeted. Our North America correspondent David Willis has the details.
Well, this all dates back to August 2018, more than 4 years ago, to two tweets that Elon Musk put out. One saying that he was considering taking Tesla private. The follow-up tweet saying that he had secured the funding necessary to do that. That sent the company's stock price soaring, only for it to plummet 10 days later when it became clear that he had not, in fact, secured the funding that was necessary to take Tesla private. So now some investors are suing Elon Musk and some of his fellow former and current directors, basically claiming share price manipulation and fraud. They are seeking undisclosed damages in a court in San Francisco. Now,
Elon Musk is some serious trouble this morning. Here's those tweets that they were talking about. He's being sued by some money folks because he cost them a whole bunch of money from these tweets, these promises. He makes a lot of these. He says, I'm considering taking Tesla private at $420. Funding secure. This is back in 2018. And he also said shareholders could either to sell at $420 or hold shares and go private. Yo, this is exciting news. All this stuff is happening, except the $72 billion stock buyout collapsed when it was clear that Musk did not have the funding, unlike, that very professional statement when you make sure you tell everyone on Twitter about your business moves and how everyone should move around their stock options and money and everything based off of that. Maybe that's a lesson for everyone else. So here's more details about this trial and also from this same correspondent and the jury that's coming for this trial, because again, they're coming after him. Watch.
Elon Musk is claiming that he did meet with a Saudi investor, a billionaire investor, on several occasions who could have potentially provided the funding needed for him to take the company private. But he is facing an uphill battle as far as the jury is concerned in this case, not least because the judge has ruled in a previous hearing that those two tweets that I mentioned were reckless and untrue in the judge's words. And that same judge has also denied an application by Elon Musk's lawyers to have the case transferred to Texas on the grounds that Elon Musk is unpopular in San Francisco following his acquisition of Twitter quite recently. Twitter is also based, of course, in San Francisco. So this 3-week trial is...
His attorneys, by the way, fair enough, saying that, get off Elon's back. All he did was he just used the wrong words in describing what the deal is. What words was he trying to use?
I'll get to that in just a second, but I have to say, I could listen to that BBC reporter. I could listen to him talk all day. If I ever win the Powerball, I would love to have the money to pay that man to narrate my life, because everything he says in that voice is just so wonderful. It could make even the dumbest things I do seem sophisticated.
They pull it off.
I had to say it because I love his voice. But with this Musk, here's the analysis I have in my head, or analogy. If you had the CEO of Exxon come out on Twitter and say, listen up, folks, Exxon is now gonna move into renewable energy only. We are getting rid of oil production. We are only going to renewable energy. What would happen at that point? The stock price would go up. You would have people buying, or it would go down. You would have people lose a lot of money. And then if he comes out a couple days later and says, nah, I changed my mind, I'm not gonna do it. Well, guess what? That is stock market manipulation. That was done with the intent of either driving up or driving down the price of the stock. And I use that as a simpler analogy, because to me, that's no different than what Elon Musk did here. He made an announcement to the world, not to the shareholders.
Yeah.
And that is the difference, because when you say it to the world, you're sending that message to everybody that, big things are happening. Whereas when you are a real businessman or businesswoman and you have decisions about your company, you don't put it on Twitter. You send it in a shareholder meeting for the main holders, and then you send it as a memo to everyone that holds the stock, because this is not public information about a publicly traded company. This is private information that is only pertinent to the shareholders. And that is the difference, and that is why this is not a smart businessman. It genuinely is not.
Farron, devastating, deep, in-depth advice there for Elon Musk. Don't tweet out personal, private information about stock options and holders and all that. It's weird how that has to be conveyed to someone who's such a business genius. Odd that they think the same thing about Donald Trump, even though he makes juvenile type of decisions like this as well. There's a second part that Elon's going through. Let's go through this really fast. He also has to start interest payments on that purchase of Twitter. So he's got the Tesla issues, and this is the issues over at Twitter now. Elon Musk may be facing the first interest payment on the debt he took to buy Twitter as early as this month in January. That's according to Financial Times report. And also, given Twitter's high level of indebtedness, the world's second richest man may have to weigh options, including the sale of more Tesla shares in order to finance that payment. By the way, that first installment is related to $13 billion of debt that he compiled with buying it for $44 billion. So that means the company has to pay about $1.5 billion in annual interest payments. If they don't, it's possible that this happens. If Twitter fails to make that first payment, the management could file for bankruptcy to initiate a debt restructuring process. As an alternative to bankruptcy, Musk could sell more of those Tesla shares, having already offloaded nearly $40 billion to help finance that Twitter deal already. So more happening, and if he fails on it, he could end up being called NCAA in this world, which is short for no coupon at all by debt traders. A bit of a pariah in the financial world, and no one can trust him. Weird how that works when you just say random things and promise things that you have no intention of doing.
It blows my mind that the second richest human being on the planet, that we're actually sitting here talking about, oh, well, they may not pay this debt or this interest, and they may just file for bankruptcy instead. Bankruptcy for corporations and for people like Musk and Donald Trump too, it's not a way to actually settle your debts and move on with your life. It is a legal maneuver. I mean, Musk can do that. Trump can do that. All these other wealthy corporations, Johnson & Johnson, they get to file for bankruptcy in spite of making billions of dollars every year, just because they don't want to have to pay out all of these verdicts against them, and they want to spin it into a new company. It is infuriating, because we see bankruptcy happen all the time with companies and people that are worth billions. We know they got the money. We know they can pay the bills. They just don't want to do it.
And they'll call you guys lazy and freeloaders and feeding off of the country and not providing anything back when this happens over and over and over again. In fact, Donald Trump bragged about it. So they're pretty open about it. And I guess in this case too.